I know a lot of you out there are thinking, if I could just win the lottery and win millions of dollars, that all my problems would be solved. And yeah, it's true. A lot of your problems will be solved. I understand, that need to overcome the strife of just not having enough money to afford a place to live and to feed yourself, your kids, your family. And while money would solve a lot of those problems, there's also the underbelly of being rich and the side that no one tells you about. So a lot of you are thinking you're waiting, like you're waiting to win the lottery, or you're waiting to finally get that promotion. You're thinking my life's not going to be any good until I get that money. And what happens is with the rich, and why you'll see like famous people or rich people saying that they're not happy. I was watching some video where someone was saying they were living in an apartment building in LA, I guess, that was like really, we'll just say it was a nice apartment building, and someone had jumped. And so these things happen, people who have money, they are just as susceptible to depression as the average person. And the reason is because once you get that money, once you have that money, sure, it will take care of all of your financial woes, right? You'll be able to pay bills easily and on time. You'll be able to buy things that you never could before, like a new fancy car, a new fancy apartment, a nice home. You'll be able to buy things for other people, maybe like people that are close to you, family, friends, and take people out, things like that. But what rich people don't talk about is that once you've taken care of all of those financial woes, you are still left with your shadow self, your own issues. Even with money, you still are having to find a balance to enjoy life. And so sometimes when people get money, they find that they are lacking in purpose. So like a meaningful, deep-seated purpose, feeling like they're doing something worthwhile, which is why I always talk about when you're manifesting your desired reality, it's not just about the money. It's also about feeling fulfilled in your life, feeling like you have purpose. Money is only taking care of physical things that, yes, can make your life way more comfortable than you are now. But really, I think what people are seeking is security and fulfillment and purpose. You still have to feel like you have a purpose in life, that you're here for something. Another reason that wealthy people can feel depressed is the isolation of having way more money than friends, family, other people in the world. And especially if you are sensitive to seeing, the suffering going on elsewhere in the world or even around you. Like I know when I was living in LA, right before I left LA, there was a ton of homelessness. It was everywhere. It was just leaching throughout the city. And what was crazy about it is, some of these people were still working like 9-to-5 jobs. They just couldn't afford to pay the rent. And, or maybe the pandemic knocked them out of their regular income. And so they were left scrambling. But if you are sensitive to seeing others suffer, and you maybe have imposter syndrome, or you get imposter syndrome, like if you win the lottery, you've gone from one way of life to a completely different way of life practically overnight. So you might get imposter syndrome. It's something that a lot of people don't think about. And what imposter syndrome is feeling like, well, why did I get it? I mean, even after desiring it and wanting it and wishing for it for so long, and then you finally get it, you still might be susceptible to imposter syndrome and wondering, well, why me? And all of a sudden you've got a different perspective. You're seeing homeless on the street, you're seeing, people across the world who are suffering, who are poor, and who are, wanting the same thing as you, and all of a sudden you got it. And so you might feel like, well, you might start to feel a little guilty. I mean, I know it sounds crazy now, but just all you have to do is look at videos of people who have won the lottery and become rich overnight. And not everyone has that experience, but it is possible. And then a third reason why rich people might become depressed or might feel saddened for some reason, or might feel negatively about their wealth is because they're masking their true feelings, just like everybody else, right? I just think people nowadays, they tend to see the wealthy as other. And in some ways, some people are like that. Some people do take their wealth and that power and just go to depths of depravity, or they just go down a wormhole of taking advantage of that power, of the power of money, to disadvantage other people. And I think it's rare. I think it's rare that it happens. I think right now it's really coming out into the media. People who we just thought, I guess, the most of, people who perhaps we put on a pedestal because they had money and fame and maybe special talents that we, admired. This is why they say, don't worship false idols. Money is a false idol. Money is it's just a currency. It's just an energy. It's something that we use to pay for things. It frees us up to express our ultimate creative selves. But it's not something to worship. It's literally just a tool. It's a vehicle toward self-expression. But then on the other side of it, how are you expressing yourself with this tool? And so now we're seeing these people that we once admired, that they have been doing awful things with their money and their power. And I just think it's a lesson for all of us to show that money isn't a cure-all. It's not going to really change what's going on inside of you. So in other words, it's not a cure-all for shadow work, for your shadow person, which is basically just the side of you that is a result of trauma in your life. I mean, honestly, a good example is like R. Kelly. We learned that the stuff he was doing with women and young people was just abhorrent, right? And at the same time, he also had some deep shadow work going on in his life due to trauma that he suffered as a child. Just really, as soon as he got money, he just used that money and that power and that fame to damage other people. And so this is why no matter who you are, we are all in the same boat. We have different circumstances, but we're all in the same boat. We all have to deal with our trauma. And that could be it could be physical abuse. It could be emotional abuse. It could just be the trauma of living a poor life. And then all of a sudden you have money. Are you ready to deal with that? Are you ready to handle it? Are you prepared for that rich life and the power that it brings, to make sure that you put good out into the world? And so for those of you really wanting to win the lottery, more power to you. But just know that there's work that you might still have to do. And so while winning the lottery and coming into money can bring all these positive things. It can fix a lot of things in your life, true, but it can also bring up new problems. And that's the thing that rich people don't tell you about, and famous people. The things that, looking on the outside in, might seem like they have a charmed life, but we don't know the reality of what's going on in their life. They're having problems just like you and me. They're having relationship issues, and some of these issues are things that come up because of their fame, because of the riches, which is basically what the point I'm trying to come across is that having all that doesn't necessarily exempt you from having problems, or doesn't necessarily take away your problems. And so why not start now? If you want to manifest money, you want to manifest a better job, a promotion, fame, if you want to manifest fame, go in it in a healthy place by fixing a good mindset, a good foundation, so that when you do manifest your dreams, that you're ready for it. And one of the ways you can prepare is to start now. Start understanding what your mindset is, understanding what kind of negative talk you give to yourself all day, every day. Are you giving yourself negative talk? And fixing that negative talk, turning it around, and developing a sense of self-worth and feeling worthy. I think an important thing is to feel worthy before you get it. And honestly, that's part of how you do get it. That's part of how you manifest wealth and fame and anything that you might desire, is by first feeling worthy. These are steps that you cannot skip, because if you don't feel worthy, then you could feel imposter syndrome, right? You could feel like, why did I deserve this? That's a huge red flag that even with wealth, you could go down a dark path. So it's about feeling worthy, self-worthy, and feeling good about yourself, loving yourself. You have to love yourself first in order to be prepared for these positive things to come into your life. Otherwise, they'll just spoil in your hands. Maybe the money will leave just as quickly as it came, right? If you're not feeling worthy, feeling self-worth and loving yourself, then you might end up spending all your money on everyone else around you and leaving yourself with none. And at the end of it, after you've spent all this money on other people, family, friends, or people who act like they're your friends and act like they care about you, they might not be there in the end. Once you give once, people could come back to you again and again with a handout. And that's not good either. Sometimes it's more helpful to people not to give the money, because they have their own shadow work to do, or their own issues with money. Money's a tricky thing, and money, it can be great for people. It can bring out the best in people's lives, but it can also bring out some of the worst. It's very polarizing. So, when it comes to manifesting money, I think it's important to manifest the feelings that you're craving that the money will give you, meaning financial freedom, right? That's a great thing to manifest. Financial freedom, safety, security, comfort, right? The comfort of being able to buy a nice home with nice furnishings. These are the things that it's important to manifest. Manifesting the feelings that you want to feel. Once you have that, once you become that desired person who has those desired things, who is living that desired reality, it's important to include the feelings you want to feel as that desired person. And start today. Don't wait until you get the money. start today. You can start living that reality today and find those feelings in your life today. And if you do that, you won't need the manifestation so much, right? You won't need it because you've already got those feelings. And then once you don't need the manifestation, that is when it comes to you. And maybe I should do a video about that because I think people don't realize that it's the not needing of it. It's feeling so good in your life now, feeling so fulfilled in your life now, finding those things in your life now and feeling it real now to where you don't even need the manifestation anymore. Then that's when you get it. So tell me, are you manifesting wealth? What do you think it's going to do for your life when you manifest wealth? Please comment down below how you think it's going to change your life. And I'll see you next time.